Right there, Nathaniel Bessie there on Radio Mini 88.3 FM, the Catholic radio station for all. Ushering us into the final hour. Thank you so much, my dear listener, for staying tuned to Radio Mini 88.3 FM. And thank you for choosing Radio Mini. It is now Money Matters Tuesday, my dear listener. You know Mr.Wahome is always here to talk to you and I. So today, we are now turning our hearts and minds to a very, very, very important group. Parents raising teenagers aged 15, 16 and 17 years, right? So this is a powerful stage in life, a season where our teenagers are dreaming bigger, questioning more, and preparing to step into adulthood. And as they stretch their wings, one of the greatest gifts we can offer them is financial wisdom. And that is why you need to understand, my dear listener, that money habits formed now will shape the adults they become tomorrow. So how confidently they make decisions, how responsibly they handle opportunities, and how wisely they navigate challenges. So Mr. Wahome today will help us guide our teens towards independence, discipline, and how healthy relationships they can be with money. If you ever wondered what exactly to teach your teenager at this age, today is your day. Tell a parent that Mr. Wahome is here for you. 0712223385 is the SMS line, or on Facebook page Radio Mini 88.3 FM. Mr. Wahome, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very great.
Yes.
Thank God for the opportunity to be here. And thank you for that great introduction.
Thank you.
Because we're going to look at this age set.
Yeah.
Very energetic, very dynamic, people who question everything.
Yes.
But people who obviously transitioning from being children now to young adults.
Yes.
And so responsibility starts falling on their shoulders one way or the other. In the CBE system, this will be what? Grade 10, grade 11,
Exactly.
grade 12?
Yeah.
At the moment, a lot of these people are in the secondary school sector. That's where they are. So they are in senior school, they are adolescents, and they are teenagers.
Okay.
And so we want to say, just like you mentioned, what's the Monday lessons for them? But just before we get there, last week I had a good question, and I answered the question on the stock exchange. And somebody just came back and said, me, I didn't even hear. And I said, okay, we are here for our listeners.
Yes.
We treasure your feedback. We always want to make sure that when we have the opportunity, we can learn something. So very quickly, I just wanted to mention something about the Kenyan stock market. And this is the system that allows us to be owners of shares in different companies. Those are the companies we call public traded companies. And in the last 1 year or so, the market has been doing very, very well. They have tools they use to measure the performance of this market. We have what we call the index, and we have two indices here in Nairobi. We have the Nairobi Securities Exchange 20-year share index. So they identify 20 shares of the best performing, and they measure that, and they're saying it's actually moved 51%. That means the people who've got the wealth has grown by 51%. If you look at all the shares, when you consider the whole market, the 68, 67 companies, the prices are moved by 50%. Some will have moved by over 100%, some will have gone below zero. So this is averaging out. And they say this is the strongest since 2003, so it is important. So people are asking, so what's informing this movement? Why things doing better? Because our banks are doing well, and most of our banks are quoted on that securities exchange. That means you can be a shareholder in the bank. The insurance industry has also done well, and that says for the securities they've been taken care of. I think they've not had a lot of calamities, so they're actually doing well. And even the energy sector, the companies that are on the energy sector are doing very well. Just like we had in the news, the economy is expected to expand. They're looking at a GDP growth of 5.5%, and that's a good signal. Inflation has done well, remained below 6%, very debatable. But again, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics are the ones who've given us numbers all the years.
Yeah.
So we must start trusting the numbers they give us. And the shilling has held well. And there is a lot of debate why the shilling is holding against the dollar. But the fact is it has held well. When you look at all those things, it effectively says, yeah, that sector of the economy is doing well. But as we're moving on and as we're heading to 2027, and we have by-elections this week, and we pray that they'll be peaceful. Sometimes foreigners feel uncomfortable and they start leaving.
Yeah.
So they sell their shares, and there's been an indication of that. We have seen banks have remained very resilient, so they are doing well. The energy sector is doing well, and there's general confidence in the market. So if somebody thinks that this is where I want to be, we always say, don't go alone. There are experts in that line. Your stockbrokers are in that space. Your investment banks are in that place. So if you want to invest in that area, just consider. Nowadays, it's easier. You can get an app on your phone. You can actually buy a single share. You can buy in the morning and sell in the evening. So it's been made an easy market. So I am sure our listener now has an idea. Why is it doing well, and how can they be able to engage?
Exactly.
Good. So now we can get into the discussion for the day. And I'm happy that you have invited parents. And let me tell parents something. You can actually invite your teenagers.
Yeah.
Yes, wherever you are, why don't you dial them? I know they are likely to be asleep.
Exactly.
I can tell you for that generation. And there's nothing wrong with them sleeping,
Yeah.
unless you have given them an assignment. Part of their body system tells them we need to sleep. And you find it odd when they're sleeping, they are growing. So you can actually wake them up and tell them, Radio Waumini has a discussion for us today. Because this Wahome Ngare is there. He's from the Personal Finance Academy, and his biggest business is just to empower people so that they are better with money. And I know our teenagers want to be better with our money. Last week, I know I invited people online, and we had a very good discussion on debt management. And I'm happy with the people who came in. Hongera, thank you. And your feedback was great, and I'm happy that you learned something. And there are those many people who always feared debt, and they realize debt is not bad. It's what we do with it that makes it bad.
Yeah.
And people realize why we fall in bad debt and what we can do to avoid the bad debt. Tonight, we are looking at setting financial goals in a practical way. We're going into a new year. We've done graciously, with the help of God, 2025 is gone. It's good to take a reflection where we've been, but it's also good to set an eye ahead so we can see what's the best way of using our financial resources. So we want to set an eye now that we are celebrating Christmas and all the other holidays, but we have one eye in the future. So that's what we are going to be able to discuss tonight. The best way you can use your resources as you plan ahead. And so in season 48 of the Wealth Creation Masterclass, we are in module 3. And so we are inviting people who are interested. If you're interested, you're very, very welcome. This is an easy thing for you to do because you do it from home. You do it on Zoom, and we do it after work. It starts at 7. So if you're interested, just let us know. And how do you get us to know? You can text, you can WhatsApp, you can call, and our number is 0708 150 137. 0708 150 137. Somebody on the other end will help you. They'll give you a link. You can actually be able to join today. So, like the person who was saying, how can I use debt to create wealth faster? I think that's been answered. Now we're saying, how can you create a financial plan and follow it through? Setting goals is an important thing. And if you're having challenge managing your money, maybe that's a good opportunity that you can be able to do. But tonight, not tonight actually, now.
No. Yeah.
Now, not tonight. Let's think about our teenagers.
Exactly.
What are these essential financial lessons? And like you say, these are not just financial lessons. These are life skills. In the last discussion, we considered lessons for their younger siblings, 12, 13, 14. And we said these are the young adolescents. Those ones who are in grade 7, 8, and 9. Today we're moving on now to the adolescents themselves, and that's why we said these people are in secondary school, they're in senior school, they're in grade 10, they'll be in grade 11 and grade 12. But before we talk about them, and then you have highlighted a few things, it's good to understand the growth stages because we are all growing. So we can see what's unique about this group. because in terms of development, they're in what we call mid and late adolescence. Because you just at 17 now, at 17, 18, you're leaving adolescence, you're coming into young adult. In fact, the government will give you an ID at 17 if you apply. It's not going to be a big deal. Yeah, we should not get to 18 without it. But if you applied at 16, 17, they'll actually give it to you. Okay. Now you're taking responsibility. They've not allowed you to drive because you're not yet 18. But you can know how these people each even learn how to drive. Because they have, in terms of character, they have significant advances. One, they're able to do abstract thinking. So they cannot see things not necessarily in black and white. They can actually see things in color. They have a very strong focus on identity formation. Who am I? Where did I come from? So, and their independence is very, very critical. So they want to be independent. And so they obviously intensify their social and emotional experiences because the brain is developing and they feel the need to be among the others. So when you're looking at, in terms of the unique aspects of this age group, one of the things is what we call the cognitive development, the ability to think, to reason, even to remember, because they are mastering abstract thought. You know, in this age, they are moving from just being concrete. They can see things, and they can actually reason in a complex way, and that's why they'll ask many questions. So they consider multiple viewpoints, and this is good for us when we are teaching them money, because now they can understand multiple viewpoints. Why do we check the price here and we check the price here? That becomes important. They also think about possibilities, what is possible, what is not possible, and they have the ability to think about the future. And that's why if they're in grade 10, they're actually thinking, oh, okay, what school will I go to? So they have that ability. Now, they have grown well, so they have the ability now to start solving problems. So they develop the skills of planning. And we are going to see how we're going to use this ability of them to plan, to set goals. They can analyze things. They can even predict what will happen. If you oversleep, you miss the bus. This one they can almost predict. And that's why they will not have a struggle waking up early in the morning. They are developing their judgment. That means they can actually be able to do some judgment. The part of the brain that is responsible for making judgments is developing, but they have a challenge. It is still developing. In fact, and that's why we tell people, don't set up permanent things. Don't set up a family when you're 17. You're still growing. Your mind is not fully grown. Your mind will have grown by the time you get 21, 22, 23. And so because they are maturing, that's why sometimes they have occupational lapses in judgment. They behave sometimes driven by their emotions, and they make long decisions. I had a doctor talk about this not too long ago, and they said parents have to take care of this long holiday. This is why we get a lot of unwanted pregnancies, because people are driven by emotion. And these people have grown to a point where they have emotions, but sometimes they're not able to see, how do I balance the risk that I'm taking in here? We've seen people at this age group go into crime. I think this was an Eastlands problem not too long ago, where they go into crime because sometimes it looks nice because they've seen it on the movie, but they don't understand the actual implications. So the judgment is not fully grown, it is growing. Now, one of the other areas where they've grown is in terms of questioning. They'll question anything and everything. They'll question authority. Why are you setting that role? Why are you getting us to do this? And this is where we tell parents, set the rules with them. Let it not be your rules. We joked last time, we said they made a mistake in school. They set rules in the class, don't make noise. But that was the teacher, not us.
Exactly.
So when the teacher left, we made the noise. When the teacher come back, we keep quiet. But what if it was our rule? So we actually, because they are questioning authority, let's set rules with them. How much TV are we going to watch? How many games do we play? What's your screen time? What are the things that you're going to do? Because they're also very idealistic. They see society should be ideal, things should be done like this, and they voice their concern. But again, like we said, they're very idealistic, but they're still growing. In terms of social development or emotional development, they have what we call an identity search, and they focus on who am I. Parents, and especially here single parents, this is when you're going to tell this person where they came from. This is where the crisis is big. They ask, who is my father? Who are our people? And that question has to be answered. and you have to give them, if you don't give them an answer, they will be restless, and they'll stay restless, because they also want to fit in. Who are my friends? And parents, this is where they push, because, you know, every one of my parents has got a phone. I must also get a phone, you know. Every one of my parents is going out. I also must go out. So a lot of work, because they're looking for identity that's going to do get them here. And that's why they're going to try different things. They see a different hairstyle. They are different dressing things, because they are searching for identity. They are not very, very complete. They may not be able to make permanent decisions. And parents get very frustrated here, because we are looking at preparing for this career. Then along the way, they change. They want to go to another career. Again, that's part of that identity search. And we say, don't practice strong parental dominance. Don't over-dominate them. Don't push them to do you the career you want. They will do it. They will go to college and study it. They will bring you the certificate. And they tell you, now, that was not mine. You can actually imagine wasted time and obviously wasted resources. They struggle for independence. They are seeking for independence from their parents. And that's why, mothers, I think here this is where mothers fall in. You find yourself arguing with them a lot of time, because they are not following the rules. They don't have the driving license and they want to drive. They don't want to observe the curfew. They feel they are big enough. Why must I come home that early? They want to have their social plans. I want to go and do a sleepover. I want to go for this. You're caring about their safety. They are not seeing it that way. You have heard the bad stories of how they are spicing juices. And these ones are not able to think about that. We said their mind is not fully grown. Physically they are grown, and they actually look at physique and they say, I'm your height, so what's the big deal? But they actually don't miss out the other things. So parents, we have a bit of work there. And you know, peers are very, very important. The friends they have, the peer groups they have, very, very important. They lean more to the peers than they lean to the family. And so when they're looking at their relationships, the peers will influence more than their family. So as parents, this is why we need to know who are their friends. Yeah, they tell you I have friends, ask them to come home. Get even to know the other parent, because now here you have to do a bit of co-parenting. Because if you get into a bad habit, they all get into that bad habit. But if we are co-parenting, the other parents knows who they are, then it's going to work easier. So if they tell you they have a friend, ask them to invite the friend home. Get to know the parents of that other friend. But don't over-dominate them, because they still have self-esteem. We talked about the other time about the one where they are being escorted to the bus stop to go to school, and the mother is carrying the box. This one don't want the mother anywhere around. No. I am an adult. Leave me to handle it. Now, they will get into romantic relationships because of the growth where they are. This is significant. They might even get intimate. That's why we need them to understand what this all is about. And they suffer a lot what we call emotional volatility. So they have mood swings. Now they are happy. Now they are not happy. It's a question of their strong emotions. It's also a question of hormonal changes. There are things beyond them. They get very annoyed that they have a pimple. But really, what can you do with a pimple? I mean, this is the age where you hear people saying, I don't like my face. I don't like my nose. I don't like my ears. You know, the things you can't do a lot about. So parents have a lot of time to help them, increase them, understand empathy, understand things, how they happen, and help them know they are not fully grown up. They're in the process of growing up. Because in terms of physical development, they are nearing completion, if you might put it in that rough language. So, like mostly the girls, I think what needs to happen has happened. The body changes have completely happened. The physical development is complete. For the boys, maybe it is still ongoing, and that's why you find for boys, they'll gain a lot of height. They'll stop fitting in the trousers they were fitting. And they want muscles. You see where they want to show they have some muscles. The growth is happening. And body image is very, very, very important for them here. This is where the girl will be on the mirror for a long time. They want to dress this way. So the body appearance is very, very important. If the appearance said anything, you have big eyes, that becomes a big problem for them. They're looking at the media, what's fashionable, what is working. So in essence, these years represent the peak of transition period. We're moving from being children into being adults, and we are exploring our capabilities, and the world is informing us of what happens. But they need a lot of guidance, they need a lot of support, because even as their brains are growing, they need emotional regulation, so that they can lead to full maturity. And so that is where it is important now that we think about what lessons do we teach them. And there are very many lessons here. Remember, they're on the fast lane. These guys want things quickly, everything quickly. They are very attracted to brands, okay? And they are very e-savvy. Everything now is on the phone. In fact, they want to have their phone. So we're going to look at practices around the budgets and how they actually now to understand budgets. And you know why they need to understand budget? Now, the next phase, they're on their own. They're going to college, so they have to manage their money. They must understand saving for a rainy day. Because even when they hit college, the rainy day will come. And we do not want them to have their... And so they need to be able to make money decisions because they will do shopping on their own. So they need to understand comparison shopping. They need to understand banking services. You know, if you go to college and you're applying to HELB and HELB is going to give you some money, they'll ask you for a bank account. So here you need to understand banking and a bit of investing because they might have money that comes to them. How does money make money? They will also need to understand about work and money. What's the big correlation between work and money? And how to stay out of debt. If there's a generation we have to save, this generation, two things. Betting.
Yeah.
Because they've seen their seniors do a lot of betting. And for some reason, they think you can bet and get rich. And they want to get rich quicker. We must help them. They must be able to see the big trap that we call betting. The other one is debt, and a lot of it is digital debt. You know, in a short while, you get their ID. They will register their SIM card, and they will have a phone, and everybody is happy to give them debt. So we need to help them to stay out of debt. And we also need to help them to understand advertising and how advertising doesn't tell you the whole story. They advertise with an agenda. Even salespeople come with an agenda so that they can start thinking of having their own goals over their own money. But again, we also must make fun. Most of these lessons, we must be able to bring in what we call money games, and we're going to mention a couple of money games. I think if we do that, we will be able to prepare our teenagers so that they can become smart kids. And everybody wants to have smart kids because remember what we said, over 80% of the next generation don't enjoy the wealth that was left behind because they are not able to manage it. And we want them to be able to manage it now and manage when they are all alone. We can go on or we take a short break.
Well. You know, there is something that you've mentioned here, Mr. Wahome, that has actually gotten me my attention, and I believe our listeners here, about this category who feel grown, right, physically, but yet mentally they are still kids. Very interesting question here. At 15 to 17, teens want to feel grown, yet many don't understand the efforts behind earning money. How can parents introduce the value of work without sounding harsh?
We will get into that because that's one important. We say we must now help them to see the correlation between work and money. Yes,
exactly.
And we appreciate they are growing.
Yes.
They will, if it's boys, they will be taller than their mother at this age. And so they think they are age mates, or rather they are the same. But they fail to appreciate the experience and the wisdom that the older person has. And we have to help reform them. But remember, they are listening more to their peers than they are listening to the parents.
Exactly. Because that's a very, very delicate stage where now parents have been replaced with their peers.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Wahome, we can proceed because of the interest of time. I want us to take a break because I can see time is not on our side. Now that you've mentioned those are the couple of things that they need to know, the relation between work and money, the debts, especially the digital debts. That is where most of them get trapped in. And then the element of advertising. There comes again social media. Okay, they get to be carried away with most of the things they see on social media. What are some of these nitty-gritties that parents need to introduce them to?
Let's get to say, let's agree now they are earning some money.
Yeah.
They might be doing some part-time work, or they're interacting with their working relatives, and they're getting, if they've gone through a rite of passage, they get gifts. Okay, they've just done their exam, and next time you meet them, you're giving them gifts. So they actually have money of their own. Here we must agree they have money of their own. Okay, you may not have given it to them, but they have the money somewhere. So we want them to be able to develop being financially smart and financially independent. Financially smart and financially independent. So let's look at practical steps how we can be able to do that. One of the things now they need to know very clearly is issues around shopping. Because like you said, social media, mainstream media, salespeople, this is where they come in. So you want these people to now understand how to make something called a shopping list.
Yes.
So before we go back to school, they need to write down everything that they need. So you're going to get them to compile a shopping list for all the things they need before they go back to school. They will start learning how to think before they act. And you want them to have more clarity around those things. So you want to be able to do those things with them. At home, when we are going to do shopping, this is the person we tell, find out what we have and what we don't have. They will have to go through the house, or do we have tissue, do we have bar soap, whatever we require. So they will start learning how to make shopping. Because if you don't do that, they will fall victims of the traps.
Exactly.
When you go to the supermarket, or when you're looking at your phone and Jumia is tempting you, we have Black November, and everything is 50% off. People will buy things that they did not. So we are saving them from just buying impulse by impulse. So we're showing them the importance of a shopping list. That's very, very important. The other thing that we can do, these ones now understand the phone. So we need to do research purchases. Before we buy stuff, why don't we check prices online? These ones can do. We can actually, we want to buy jeans, for example. We can actually go online and check. What are the prices of jeans in this place and this place? And now you start helping them to see, you don't just buy what you see. There's much more in the marketplace. Because for the same item, you can buy it twice or thrice, same quality. So you are helping them to understand. When you're making a purchase decision, look around. There might be something that is more. We also want them to have goals. We want to help them to set goals so that they can be able to start tracking their savings and where the money is going to go. And that's why we said we might want to open a bank account now for them, or a money market fund, so that we can help them to track their savings and their spending. What do they want to buy? Always agree what they want to buy. Even if you're going to fund it for them, agree with them. So when they get an allowance, they can start putting a bit of it in that forum. They don't have an ID, so they can't open an account on their own. But they can open an account in your name. And the banking system have a way of allowing that to happen. That yes, you're opening an account, but it is your child's account that you're opening. The biggest part is we are in the holiday season. Every family, whichever description, we have events that we're going to do. We might be traveling back to our village. We might be going on holiday. We are celebrating this. Involve them in planning now and budgeting for those special occasions, whether it is an outing, whether it is a birthday. If you are going out, can you tell them to think through all the costs? What do we need? So that they write down everything. Yes, we are going shags, but what do we need? So they are writing out all those things, and they're even researching the cost, so that now they can be able to think through transport, cost, admission fees, and all those things, and they come up with a draft. Leave it to them. Leave it to them. Now, train them to start thinking. We say they're able to see the bigger picture. Help them to see the bigger picture here. Yes, we have agreed we are going to go to Naivasha, to Hell's Gate. What do we need? And we're going to list out everything. So when we get to Hell's Gate, we are not wondering, how come we don't have water? Because somebody had to think through, we needed water. How come we don't have a dustbin? Because you're also teaching them to be responsible citizens. We don't want to end up in Hell's Gate and we are throwing papers everywhere. Because that's not the right thing. Now, they will get to know, they will not even accept plastic bottles in that place. So now you see they're even learning issues around environment. So they're becoming responsible citizens. And when you get them to shop online, it is important for you to let them know there are more than enough scammers online. Everything that shows online sounds too good, maybe it is not good. While there are some online. And I mean, I've seen this a couple of times. You know, they're going to town, they want to buy a shop, I mean, a watch. And they're starting outside the watch shop. And somebody just shows up from the street and says, I have a watch to sell to you. It's a better deal. And you know, before you know what, they buy something fake. And they thought it was a deal. I mean, how many people have ended up home with just a skeleton? So this is what we're saying, safe shopping, so that they understand that everything we see online on social media is not real. So we need to be able to do that. Now, we will have to help them to differentiate needs from wants now. They like spontaneous purchases, but when they set goals, they want to think before they buy the item. So they can tell the difference between what must we do and what can wait, so that we deal with this issue of delayed gratification. You know, they would want everything now. You know, we want to eat a heavy breakfast, forgetting we'll also need lunch. So we need to be able to do that. One of the things I know, now they have a phone. Whichever way you're going to do, and I know mothers are good at this one, you must check their mobile use. What are they doing with the phone? What are the things they are doing with that phone? We want to see how are they using data. Okay, you set the boundaries. What can be done? You know, use the gadgets that you are, and be able to see what tariffs they are on. And we always say, when they are using the phone, never put them on postpaid. Don't put on a system where they have no limit, because they're going to use it all the time. So you want them, because, and now this is where lessons about betting comes in, and all the things that people can be able to do that. And we need to critique ads. We're not criticizing, we are critique. So we're seeing an ad together, and we're having a discussion. We're saying, what are they selling? Is it as true? Is it as they have said? So we start seeing product advertising tell you this story, but don't tell you the other story. You know, this obviously what we call the fine print, isn't it? Yes. So we want to be able to critique. So have a discussion. Remember what we say, they have an idealistic way. They're able to see many things. Use that to critique. So they can actually be able to tell there's a difference between what they are seeing and the reality. Now we want to give them a responsibility. So they must clearly understand the banking system. So if you're paying fees for them back to school, can you get them involved? Even if you're going to be posting it on M-Pesa or whatever, get them involved. They need to be able to see that. If you write checks, can they be the one to take the checkbook and maybe deliver it somewhere for you? Because we want to prepare them for money management. And so this is why we say open a bank account and get them to see how their money is growing. Open a money market fund, help them to see how their money is growing. They will understand the banking system, and that is very, very important. Now we say they need to have a correlation between work and money. Help them find a job. Yes. I am not saying they go to the coffee plantation. No. We are saying look at the things around you where they can actually be able to put in actual work. Now this one, if you are running a small tuck shop, they can be there with you. Pay them for that time. If you don't have one and your friend is running a supermarket, they can actually go and spend some time there. Get them to pay. This is what I'm saying, help them look for a job. What you're saying is you want them to stay in a real environment. And I always say, if you look at our Mwindi neighbor, they always make sure the kid at this age goes to the shop or the workshop or wherever it is. So if you're on a farm, let them stay on the farm. I mean, at this age, you knew how to milk the cow. If you grew up on the farm, you knew how to weed the farm. You knew those, and those are skills you have used subsequently later. So this is where they're going to be able to see, oh, you do this, you earn this, and they're going to become smart. And that way they're going to start respecting work. We have almost a tragedy where people sleep and expect to live well. You can't be sleeping and expecting to live well because somebody else is paying. You need to understand where do they get the money to be able to do this. So help them find a job, and yes, make sure they get a fee for whatever they are doing. Even if it's a family business, a family job, that they can actually, I know it's a bigger challenge in the urban setup. It's much easier in the rural place because we have activities that we can be able to do. But even here, we have to be creative. If you're running a small stall, you're running a small shop, involve them. Get them to come there in the morning with you. Let them open, let them do something, then they can go and do other things. That becomes very, very important. If they are creative, they can discover something of their own, and they can do it with their peers. Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, teach them the danger of the credit card if you have a credit card. Because when they turn 18 and they get an ID, I can tell you for free, somebody's going to approach them with a card when they get a first job. But they'll have no idea what it is. And within no time, they will actually become big victim of that card. Yeah. The same way you teach them about digital debt apps. They are good, but they need to understand why they not work all the time. And then the other thing we need to do, this is where the lessons get interesting. We need to play money board games. So if you're able to play Monopoly, I found it a very, very good game, because you learn many things. You understand loans, you understand mortgage, you understand strategy, because you want to use that space to make money. There's a Kenyan equivalent to Monopoly. I like the Kenyan one. It's called Kumiliki. Kumiliki means what? Ownership.
Ownership. Yeah.
Yes, because it's in Kiswahili. So if you're dealing with estates, it's going to be Langata, it's going to be Kibera, it's going to be Westlands. So things you can relate. We're dealing with bus station, we are dealing with OTC, things we can relate. But playing that game for 3-4 hours, they learn a lot of things. People understand what's a mortgage, how does it work, why must you be able to take risk, and when don't you take risk? How does a hotel give you much more money than some rental property? So people understand those things. So games are good, and at this age, they want to play games. It's good to play cards. But cards don't bring a lot of lessons. Playing cash flow quadrant, playing Monopoly, playing Kumiliki, or if you know any other game, will actually give us a lot of things. So we need to be able to deliver those lessons. And if you have to deliver those lessons, and I know we are out of time, be the role model.
Exactly. Well put. And Mr. Wahome, I know you've actually answered all the questions here. A very interesting question here between freedom and about balancing teaching responsibilities. Some teens want financial independence, but still really heavily rely on parents. How can parents balance giving them freedom while teaching responsibility, Mr. Wahome?
I think this is a parenting issue. Now, there's nothing like financial freedom. I'm not sure what they are talking about, financial freedom.
Right.
Because children have something we call financial inpatient. They are with you. So you give them money every day. And in fact, when they get to a certain age, they go to college. Now they become outpatient. You give them money. Independence is long after when they are earning their money and they have their own investments and they are making their own money. Okay? But for now, what we are saying is a question of balancing out. This is the assignment we have. Okay, we do this assignment, then we are free to go to that game that we wanted to go. We're going to visit our friend, but you can't be asleep over here, then you come home asleep over here, and you're not making any contribution. We need to help them to start making a contribution or learning. They may not be necessarily earning a lot of money, but they are earning some skill that can actually earn them some little money, so they can buy the basic things for themselves. You want to provide them the basics, but anything above the basics, you want them to start earning something for themselves.
All right.
And that's why we said, let's role model them. As you're choosing the things to do, they are watching. Remember, monkey see, monkey do.
Monkey do.
Very, very important here. They will remind you.
Exactly.
You said we don't do this, but you're doing it. So it becomes very, very important.
And based on the fact that this age category is very sensitive.
Yes.
All right, so they get everything from you. Fair enough. Mr. Wahome, as you're winding up, I want you to conclude with this one. Some teens compare themselves with their friends who receive larger allowances or expensive items. How can parents address comparison and entitlement?
Those are two things, comparison and entitlement. Let's agree comparison will be natural here.
Okay.
Peer pressure is real, so they will compare. But how grounded are they? Good. How have you grounded them? Do they understand where you are and what's your limitation? I mean, if your son came and said, I want you to buy me a Bugatti, you're even trying to understand what's a Bugatti.
Exactly.
Then they are not grounded.
Yeah.
If they are grounded, people understand living within the means. And that's why we started these lessons much earlier when they were young.
Exactly.
And we were actually able to involve them along the way. So they cannot come and surprise you when they become teens. They've been all along in the process. So that we can actually now be able to, if they are informed, they will make informed decisions. When they are not informed, we tell them hakuna pesa, but they see us do things. Then they know, you're saying hakuna pesa, but there's money. So that becomes an important area for us. So peer pressure is for real. Did we say you need to know their friends? Yes.
Yeah.
And their relationships you're going to break.
Yeah.
Because you can actually see it is going in the wrong direction. Yes. You have the responsibility to say, hapo nimekata. But don't just say nimekata. Rationalize with them why you mekata.
Exactly.
These ones you don't just say nimekata. No. You have to try and help them understand what is the issue that we're doing. I mean, we can't do what everybody else does. We are all very, very different. There are people doing less than you. There are people doing more than you. So that becomes an important one.
Right.
What was the second part?
You've actually answered both entitlement and the other part. So thank you so much, Mr. As you're winding up, kindly remind them today's lesson and how they can join.
Thank you. So we said look for all the teachable moments.
Yeah.
Keep it positive with them so that they can actually be able to learn. So now we say we can't give what we don't have. And that is why tonight we want to come. Let's look ahead. We're setting financial goals. We want to make it easier for us as we get into the new year, manage our money better. So if you join us today in the evening, that's all we are going to be able to do. We will have a very good focus, and that's going to help us to see how do we make it practical.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, I do not have the money, but let's agree there are things to be done.
Yeah.
And those are the things we want to chat out what can be done. So if you join us tonight, that's exactly what we are going to do, and it's going to be helpful for your teenagers. So at 7 p.m. this evening on Zoom, if you just get in touch with us, 0708 150 137, you'll get the link and you join us. And I am sure we're going to learn one or two things together.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Wahome, for your ample time this morning and your lessons as well. Asante sana. All right, dear listener, as we are stepping out, remember you cannot pour out of an empty jar. That is why you need to fill yourself first before you pass on this money lesson that Mr. Wahome has passed to you this morning. All right. And how can you fill yourself? Number one, you can join today's class that Mr. Wahome has, setting financial goals. How? Drop a text, my dear listener, for any inquiries to 0708 150 137. But most importantly, my dear listener, I want you to get a copy of a book that Mr. Wahome has authored, Wallet Words. Okay, he has actually put these things in a very simple manner that will help you understand yourself first before you try to understand your child. All right, you become full first before you start emptying into your child. Wallet Words, a copy that Mr. Wahome has authored. You can also get that copy via this number 0708 150 137. All right, that is it, 0708 150 137. You're wondering why is Bramwel good with money? I have given you a tip. Try that book and you'll thank me later. Thank you so much for your time. Let's do this again tomorrow, God willing. Do have a productive Tuesday.
This is Radio Waumini 88.3 FM.